Good morning, everybody, and welcome to Solyndra's Fab 2 groundbreaking. It is my pleasure and honor to now introduce the Vice President of the United States, Joseph Biden.
Thank you, Chris. Thanks an awful lot. I'm sorry I can't be there. Governor Schwarzenegger, I can see you on my monitor here. I'm glad to see you under better conditions. We spent some time together at your at Teddy's funeral, but it's great to see you on a happy occasion. And Secretary Chu, I'm sure everybody knows there that they've got the best of the administration when they have you standing before them today. And to all the employees at Solyndra, let me begin first by talking for a moment, if you don't mind, about the unemployment figures that came out today. You know, when we took office back in January, job losses were staggering. There were 741,000 jobs lost this last January, 681,000 in February, 652,000 in March of this year. And we knew we had to act. And within 200 days, we passed 200 days ago, we passed the American Recovery and Reinvestment Act, which we're going to talk a little bit about today. But the one thing I want to say is the Recovery Act is working, and you're going to see it work right on that site. We're making progress with substantially less job loss than we saw a few months ago. The numbers reported today show 216,000 people lost their jobs last month. Much too high. But roughly 2/3 of the job loss we saw on a monthly basis when we took office, and the lowest that it's been in a year. Now, I want to be clear about something. Less bad is not good. That's not how President Obama and I measure success. We're not going to be satisfied any more than the governor is or anyone else is until we start adding, not losing, thousands of jobs per month. But one of the tools to get us to that point is the Recovery Act. Experts from Moody's to Goldman and others have already pointed out that we've created or saved between 500,000 and a million jobs in the last 200 days. Another way of putting it, there would have been another 500 to a million jobs lost had we not had this Recovery Act up and running. Part of our plan is to make sure that as we create these jobs, we create jobs of the future, like the ones you're creating. Jobs you can raise a family on, green jobs, jobs that will serve as a foundation for a stronger American economy, which is why it's so important we invest in Solyndra and invest in what Solyndra is doing, not just to get us through today, but to power our way to a much brighter tomorrow. You know, there was a 19th century Scottish author and political reformer named Samuel Smiles. He once said, and I think the quote is appropriate here, he said, "Hope is like the sun, which as you journey toward it, cast the shadow of our burden behind us." Well, that's exactly what we're doing here today. We're journeying, in a sense, closer and closer to the sun, to a more solar-powered America. And as we do, we're leaving a shadow of a less efficient, more damaging past behind us. And I'm really happy, along with the Secretary, to announce today that we've closed a $535 million loan guarantee for Solyndra, more than $500 million. This is the first in what the Secretary is going to be announcing. The Department of Energy will be making available for more than $30 billion in loan guarantees the Recovery Act is providing and will provide to American companies that are leading the way to a new clean energy future. The loan to Solyndra will allow you to build a new manufacturing facility, and with it, almost immediately generate 3,000 new well-paying construction jobs. And once your facility opens, there will be about 1,000 permanent new jobs here at Solyndra and in the surrounding business community, and hundreds more to install your growing output of solar panels throughout the country. It's important. It's important because these jobs are going to be permanent jobs. These are the jobs of the future. These are the green jobs. These are the jobs that won't be exported. These are the jobs that are going to define the 21st century and the jobs that are going to allow America to compete and to lead like we did in the 20th century. But beyond that, by doing this work, you're also reducing carbon emissions just at the plant you're about to build by more than 100 metric tons, folks. That's the equivalent, I know you know it, but the rest of America may not, that's the equivalent of pulling 25 million cars off the road. They're exactly the kind of steps we need to take to make our air cleaner, to save money, and to reduce our dependence on foreign oil. To quote another famous person, Galileo, he once said, "The sun, with all those planets revolving around it and dependent on it, can still ripen a bunch of grapes as if it had nothing else in the universe to do." Well, folks, there's still a whole lot more we can do with the sun, and you're leading the way. And out there at Solyndra, you guys have figured it out. You've figured out how to harness the sun's power for a better, more efficient, more prosperous future for all of America. And in the process, you're creating more jobs. I want to thank you all. Thank you, Governor. Thank you, Mr. Secretary. And may God bless America, and may God protect our troops.
Okay, I guess it's my turn. As Vice President Biden announced, the Department of Energy is very pleased to finalize the $535 million loan guarantee to Solyndra today. I want to congratulate Dr. Grone and Solyndra on this award and thank you all for working so closely with the Department of Energy on what will be a shared success story. I want to thank Vice President Biden for being part of this event. I also want to thank Senator Feinstein, who is here today, but I don't see her, so I'll thank her anyway. Senator Boxer and, of course, Governor Schwarzenegger for their leadership to develop a clean energy economy in California. As you can see, if you build a better solar panel, the world will beat a path to your door. Building a smarter solar panel is exactly what Solyndra has done. Compared to traditional solar panels, Solyndra's innovative thin-film systems produce more energy for less money and less hassle. The proof is the world is clamoring for a clean energy economy is that $2 billion worth of pending solar orders. Because of this loan guarantee, those orders will be filled by American workers. You hear a lot these days about green jobs. Today we're seeing them in action. Whether it's running a backhoe or pouring concrete or building walls or installing machinery. And the jobs will keep coming. The first jobs created will be those construction jobs, up to 3,000 of them. And in fact, Solyndra says it's poised to hire up to 100 people within an hour of getting the check. Is that really true? Next will be high-tech manufacturing jobs. I think they're already hired. Up to 1,000 positions once the plant is operating. And then there will be installation jobs. Hundreds of men and women will be climbing onto roofs across the country. Finally, there will be maintenance and upkeep jobs that will keep the panels running smoothly. And here's the best part. None of these jobs can be outsourced. At the Department of Energy, we've moved aggressively to get this money out the door to help with economic recovery. But this effort is about more than recovering what we had. It's about laying a new foundation for our future prosperity. The solar energy is growing by leaps and bounds. It is a key growth industry for our future. But right now, the United States is being left behind. Americans invented the modern solar panel. I will actually go a little bit further and say, since I worked at Bell Labs for 9 years, Bell Labs invented the solar panel. And as late as 1995, we produced nearly half of the world's supply. But since then, countries like China have grown and innovated faster, and our market share has fallen to less than 10%. It's time to rev up the American innovation machine and reclaim our lead on clean energy. When we do this, no country in the world will be able to outwork, outcompete, and out-innovate us. This factory will be a strong start. The funding announced today will help finance production of enough solar systems to power 24,000 homes a year over, or more than 500,000 homes over the projected 30-year lifetime. But this is only the beginning. Solyndra is the first recipient of a loan guarantee from the Department of Energy since the 1980s. And we're going to make many more awards in the weeks and months ahead. We at the department are moving with unprecedented speed to help create new jobs that can't be outsourced, and to help America's most promising companies grow at a time of tight credit and hesitant investors. We will get private capital off the sidelines into the game. Overall, we expect the Department of Energy's loan guarantees will leverage more than $100 billion in clean energy investments in the best projects in the country. That's what our loan program is all about. We're helping turn groundbreaking ideas like Solyndras into many more groundbreaking ceremonies like this one. By investing in clean energy, we will create jobs and industries America needs to begin a new industrial revolution. So thank you, and it's with great pleasure I introduce to you, although you know, I would say the green giant of California's green economy.
Thank you very much, Secretary Chu, for the wonderful comments, and also for being such a great leader for California and the rest of the nation. And you're a great inspiration. Thank you very much for all the help you're giving us and for being here today. I also want to say thank you very much to Dr. Grone, the CEO. Thank you very much. And Mayor Wasserman, thank you. I remember you from the Terminator days when we shot Terminator 2 up here. He was police chief then, right? And he came regularly to the set. Not because he was interested in my action, but he liked the free food. But anyway, but it's nice to see you back, and there's some good food back there in the tent, okay? Anyway, and I also want to say thank you very much to Vice President Biden for being with us here today via satellite. And he's a terrific leader, let me tell you. I had the chance of watching his eulogy for Uncle Teddy, and it was extraordinary, the best I've heard. And then when we talked later on, we had a chance to talk a little bit about this event here today. He showed such great enthusiasm of getting us this money and getting us money for education and money for infrastructure and all of those things. And he loves all the things that we are doing when it comes to green technology and renewables and all that. So it was terrific to see his enthusiasm and all of those things. So we want to say thank you to him for his help and for being part of this. I think this is a great celebration here today. And I love celebrating because when you think about it, I mean, I remember 6 years ago, exactly 6 years ago, I was out there campaigning to become governor of the great state of California. And I was talking about, you know, that we can go and protect the environment and protect the economy. And people always looked at me kind of, what are you talking about? You can only do one or the other. And I kept talking about it and talking about it. Well, since I've come into office, we have shown the action that we can do both. And I think this here today is a perfect example where we can combine both. It's exactly what's happening right here at the Solyndra manufacturing plant. This project will create thousands of jobs, as you have heard just earlier. First to construct the facility and then to operate it. But not only that, so this is the job creation, but then those workers will produce solar panels that over their lifetime will allow us to avoid over 300 million tons of emission of greenhouse gases. This is like taking millions and millions of cars off the road. So there you see a perfect example right here, how you can protect jobs, create jobs, and stimulate the economy, and also protect the environment at the same time. So this is why I say we are celebrating here three major things. One is the job creation and stimulating the economy. We are celebrating here today the protection of the environment and saying hasta la vista to global warming. And also we are celebrating President Obama's stimulus package. And this is why I want to say thank you to President Obama and Vice President Biden and Secretary Chu for their efforts to make all of this possible. And projects like this is exactly why I was one of the first ones to come out and to support the Obama administration's economic stimulus plan. Because in these tough times, what we need more than anything is jobs, jobs, jobs. And today we see that the president's plan is delivering on those jobs, is delivering on the stimulus of the economy, and is delivering $535 million. So let's give a big hand to President Obama and the Obama administration for this great job. And I'm especially proud that these jobs will be created right here in Fremont, because let's be honest, that this city is still stinging from the loss of the NUMMI plant. And that last month, all we heard here was negative news about how General Motors is going to pull out of their partnership with Toyota, and then how Toyota is going to leave the plant, and how jobs are going to be lost, 4,700 jobs, and how this is going to be terrible for the revenues of the city and the state, and on and on and on. So today, there's a turnaround. Today we hear positive news. And of course, that takes me to the subject of Assembly Bill 1111. Let me just talk to you a little bit about this Assembly Bill, which is legislation that I'm sponsoring with Treasury Bill Lockyer. Bipartisan bill. AB 1111 will provide a tax incentive for new clean technology manufacturers that locate here in California. And it will help us attract new green companies into the NUMMI plant. We want to bring companies in and to go to the NUMMI plant and to have those workers not lose their jobs but continue working, just except in building cars, build something that has to do with green technology. And this is why we give those tax incentives. In fact, Solyndra will be eligible for the tax incentive for this new facility right here. So these are the kind of things that we are doing. And so this is why today I'm calling on the legislators to pass the bill and send it to my desk so I can sign it. Now, it is no coincidence that Solyndra is expanding and creating the jobs right here in Fremont, right here in California, instead of Nevada, or instead of Oregon, or instead of Arizona, or maybe New Mexico, or so on. It's right here in California. And it's not just about our famous California sun, but it's because we have adopted policies that have driven demand for solar and other renewable technologies. Since I've come into office, we have passed AB 32, which is the commitment to roll back our greenhouse gases to the 1990 level by the year 2020. The Million Solar Roof Initiative, or right at the renewable portfolio. Right now, 20% by the year 2010, and we are now working on legislation to have 33% be our new goal by the year 2020. We passed also the low carbon fuel standard, the tailpipe emission standards, the green building initiative, the hydrogen highway, and the list goes on and on and on. We are really leading the nation and the world. We're passing laws, setting standards, and our businesses and entrepreneurs are rising to the challenge. A wave of innovation has washed over California, and that's why the Wall Street Journal calls it the new gold rush for California. Last year, clean technology investments in our state hit an all-time high of $3.3 billion. May I remind you that's double of the amount from the previous year. California companies hold about 40% of the nation's new patents when it comes to solar technology. And last year, in 2008, the amount of solars installed in California doubled from the previous year. And the way things are going, we will double again this year from the previous year. I've seen solar in all kinds of different places all over California. If it is the Frito-Lay factory in Modesto, or the frozen food plant in Los Angeles, or at parking lots and parking garages at our universities here in our state, or if it is warehouses in Fontana, or even the roof of the Staples Center in Los Angeles. Maybe that's why the Lakers got that extra energy, because we have the solar panels up there. But this is the kind of action that we have created here in our state. So I'm very proud to be the governor of this great state, because Florida may be known as the sunshine state, but we are definitely the solar state and the green technology state. So with this action that we see here today, this will help us continue our proud legacy. So thank you very much. And now I would like to introduce I think our next speaker, do we have, yeah, it's also, of course, you're coming up here. Dr. Chris Grone, please come up here and say a few words. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Governor Schwarzenegger, Secretary Chu, and Mayor Wasserman. The economy is on everyone's mind at the moment. But while the economy needs clean tech to help it recover, our planet needs clean tech in order to survive. Today is a triumph for all those who believe it is not too late to save our planet from the perils of global warming. John F. Kennedy once said, "It is our task, in our time, in our generation, to hand down undiminished to those who come after, as was handed down to us by those who went before, the natural wealth and beauty which is ours." he was prescient. Somehow he sensed that the insatiable need for us to burn fossil fuels for energy supply was destroying our planet. And the trend seems to be continuing. By 2050, some predict we will need to add 16 terawatts or 16,000 gigawatts of additional power. By coincidence, there's about 16,000 days between now and the year 2050. So that means we would have to add, on average, 1 gigawatt every day for the next 41 years. We must use as much clean and renewable energy as possible to meet this demand. And Solyndra is passionate about doing its part. Our plan is to cover the 15 billion square meters of flat rooftops in the world with our unique cylindrical modules. This will generate 1,000 gigawatts, or enough power for 1/3 of all US commercial buildings. The Solyndra story started in 2005. The first cylindrical prototypes were made at the National Renewable Energy Labs in Colorado. But it was right here in Silicon Valley that we were able to accelerate our product development. Because of the incredible drive and passion and talent of our employees, we were able to take the original cylindrical modules and transform them into competitive rooftop power plants. Along the way, our investors, with patience and guidance, supplied the substantial capital needed for us to commercialize our product and to grow our operations. And now, because of the vision and the support of President Barack Obama, Vice President Joseph Biden, our Secretary of Energy, Dr. Stephen Chu, the US Congress, Governor Arnold Schwarzenegger of the beautiful state of California, Mayor Bob Wasserman of the great city of Fremont, and many others, we are able to build Fab 2 right here and not only contribute to the new innovation economy, but also help to ignite a new era of green industrialization. The numbers tell the story. We will create 3,000 construction jobs, 1,000 operations jobs, and hundreds of installation jobs. And I can't think of a better way to celebrate Labor Day. One of the key values at Solyndra is that what we do is more than just a job. We are agents of change. 20 years from now, we will not be among those who stand in front of their families, friends, children, and grandchildren and say we did little to stop the advance of global warming. We will make a difference. One solar cell at a time, one tube at a time, one module at a time, one panel at a time, 1 megawatt installation at a time, 1 gigawatt factory at a time. We believe what we do here today will someday change our world for the better for generations to come.